The rain on Veliora wasn't like rain on Earth. It fell in threads of glowing mist, each drop alive with static light. When it hit the metal hull of the wrecked starship, the air hissed and shimmered blue. Captain Arin Vale sat inside the broken cockpit, his suit's power cells nearly dead, and listened to the alien storm breathe. He had crashed 3 days ago. His distress signal was weak, barely reaching orbit. He had food for another week, oxygen for 2. But it wasn't the hunger or the air that troubled him. It was the silence. No voices, no human faces, only the haunting light moving across the valley outside, almost like souls wandering through fog. Veliora, a planet forbidden by treaty. No human was allowed here, not after the ancient war with the Elythians, the beings of living light who once ruled this world. The treaty said humans and Elythians could never meet again. But Arin didn't have a choice. The crash had dragged him into their land, and now, the storm wouldn't let him leave. He spent his days fixing the beacon, his nights staring at the horizon. And then one night he saw her. At first he thought it was a trick of the storm, a bright shape moving in the fog. But when he stepped closer, the light flickered and turned. It wasn't fog. It was a figure. A woman, tall, slender, her body wrapped in threads of silver glow. Her face was almost human, but her eyes held galaxies. Arin froze. His training screamed at him to retreat. Contact forbidden. The last captain who violated the treaty had been executed. But something about her, the quiet grace, the sadness in her glow, held him in place. The being tilted her head, studying him. The air shimmered between them as if their worlds collided in that single breath. Then, in a voice that wasn't spoken but felt, she said, "You are not of light, yet you do not fear it." Arin's heart pounded. "I'm not here to fight," he whispered, his voice shaking. "I just want to fix my ship and go home." Her expression softened, the glow dimming to a faint blue. She took a small step closer. Her feet didn't touch the ground. "Home," she echoed, like tasting the word for the first time. "You have one?" He almost smiled. "Had one. A long time ago, the storm rumbled. Lightning split the sky in violet lines, reflecting in her eyes. For a moment, they stood there, two species who were supposed to hate each other, sharing silence under alien thunder. She lifted her hand. Light formed a symbol in the air, something like a spiral sun. Then she pointed to the horizon, to the ruins of something ancient. Arin followed her gaze and saw tall, broken towers of crystal, half buried in glowing sand. "Is that your city?" he asked, her light dimmed. "Was." The word carried pain, centuries of loss, and then she turned to leave. "Wait," Arin called out. He took a step forward, his boots sinking in the glowing mud. "Who are you?" She looked back, her glow rising again. "Lira," she said, "daughter of what remains." Then she vanished into the storm. That night, Arin couldn't sleep. He kept seeing her face in the lightning, hearing her voice in the static hum of his radio. He knew he should erase the footage, destroy the evidence. If Command ever found out he'd spoken to an Elythian, it would mean death. But curiosity burned stronger than fear. He began recording observations, light frequencies, energy traces, fragments of sound. All of it pointed to something impossible. The Elythians weren't gone. They were hiding, watching. The next night he returned to the valley. "Lira," he called softly, his voice swallowed by the fog. "If you can hear me, I just want to talk." The wind hissed. Then faintly the light appeared again, flickering between the stones. She stood there holding something small and shining in her hands, a glowing crystal pulsing like a heartbeat. "Your ship's core," she said through the storm. "You dropped it." Arin stepped closer. "You fixed this?" She nodded. Her light shimmered nervously. "I am not allowed, but I watched you try. You did not give up." He smiled despite the danger. "Neither did you." Something changed in the air. Softer now, fragile. The storm slowed, the wind falling silent as if the planet itself was listening. Arin took the crystal from her hands. Their fingers brushed, human skin against light. A shock ran through him, not of pain, but memory. He saw visions, stars being born, cities of crystal floating in the sky, Elythians singing to the suns. He gasped, falling to his knees. Lira knelt beside him, her glow flickering wildly. "I did not mean to show you," she whispered. "Our memories are alive. They touch what they love." He stared at her, breathless. "Then, you loved this world once." Her light dimmed again. Once, before the shadows came, she looked up at him, eyes glowing with something new, something forbidden. You must leave before they see you. Arin shook his head, not without understanding what happened here. Lira hesitated, torn between duty and feeling. Then she said softly, tomorrow, when the second moon rises, come to the old observatory, and before he could speak again, she vanished, leaving only a trail of glowing dust that drifted like falling stars around him. Arin stood in the silence, the crystal still warm in his hand. He looked at the sky, at the two moons of Veliora chasing each other across the storm clouds. He whispered to the darkness, Lira, I'll be there. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a faint light flickered in answer. The next night came slower than any Arin could remember. Every second felt heavy, stretched between fear and something else. A strange excitement he hadn't felt in years. The storm over Veliora had faded to a soft electric mist. The twin moons glowed above like silver eyes watching. Arin walked through the glowing fields, the broken crystal core of his ship pulsing faintly in his pack. The ruins of the old observatory rose ahead, giant stone rings covered in luminous vines, relics of a civilization long gone. He tightened his grip on the blaster at his side, though he doubted it would help against beings made of light. When he reached the top of the hill, the air shimmered. Then she appeared. Lira emerged slowly from the shadows, her body radiating gentle blue light. The mist around her sparkled, drawn to her like stardust finding its star. You came, she said softly, not with words, but with thought, her voice echoing inside his mind like a melody underwater. Arin smiled, trying to steady his heartbeat. You told me to, and I keep my promises. She tilted her head, curious. Promises? She repeated. A sound that binds choice. He chuckled. That's one way to put it. They stood for a moment silent. Arin realized how strange it was, speaking to someone without sound, understanding her emotions like colors in his mind. When she was calm, her light pulsed slow and soft. When she was curious, tiny sparks rippled through her glow. It was like watching a living aurora breathe. Lira lifted her hand and traced a shape in the air, a circle surrounded by smaller lights. This means peace, she said, her thought translating into words inside him. Arin copied the motion with his finger, the light forming faintly in the air before fading. She smiled, or something close to it. You learn fast. I'm a pilot, he said. We're trained to adapt. Her glow flickered. Your kind survived the war. Mine almost did not. He looked at her carefully. What really happened, Lira? The wind stirred, carrying the low hum of ancient energy. She turned away, walking slowly toward the edge of the ruin. Below them, glowing rivers cut across the valley like veins of light. Our people were once healers, she said quietly. We could shape energy, mend stars, calm storms. But the humans feared what they did not understand. So did we. Fear became war. War became silence. Her hands trembled, light flickering faster. We learned to live without emotion. To feel nothing is to cause no pain. Arin's heart ached at her words. You mean, you're not allowed to feel anything? Not even happiness? Her glow dimmed. Emotion makes our light unstable. It burns us from within. That is what they teach. But you came to me, Arin said. You spoke to me. You helped me. I broke the law. Her voice in his mind wavered. I watched you fix the beacon. You spoke to the storm as if it were alive. I wanted to understand why. He stepped closer, his breath fogging in the cold air. And now? Her light flickered wildly, bright blue to soft white. Now I am afraid, because I understand. They stared at each other, one made of flesh and regret, the other of light and fear. The ruins around them seemed to hum with old memories, the stones remembering laughter that no longer existed. To break the tension, Arin picked up a shard of crystal from the ground. It glowed faintly when he held it. So this light, it's alive, isn't it? Not just energy, she nodded. It remembers. Every Elythian carries the memory of those before them. Our hearts are stars that never die. He turned the shard in his hand. Then maybe yours remembered how to care. Her glow softened like a blush of light. You speak strange, Captain Vale, he smiled. You can just call me Arin. Arin. She whispered his name, her voice lingering in the air like a song. A warm pulse moved between them, a rhythm that matched his heartbeat. It was quiet, steady, and achingly beautiful. For the first time in years, Arin didn't feel lost. Hours passed as they shared symbols and gestures. Lira taught him how Elythians spoke through color: blue for peace, gold for truth, crimson for sorrow. Arin taught her simple human words, tracing letters on glowing stone with his glove. When he wrote the word light, she smiled and added her own mark beside it. The two symbols shimmered together, forming a single glow, half human, half Elythian, but their peace didn't last. A distant sound broke the silence, a deep, resonant hum that rolled through the ground. Lira's glow flared in panic. "They are coming," she whispered. "Who?" Arin asked, his hand instinctively reaching for his blaster. "The Sentinels. Guardians of the Code, they will sense me. With you." He looked around, seeing nothing but fog. "We can run." "No." Her light grew fierce, protective. "If they see you, they will destroy you." "Leave now." "I'm not leaving you," Arin said firmly. "Not again." She moved closer, her hand glowing brighter as she touched his chest plate. "You must. Your light is still fragile." Her energy pulsed through his armor, short-circuiting the suit's comms. His radio hissed, lights flashing red. "Lira, stop!" "Forgive me," she whispered, and with a single flash, she vanished, leaving only falling sparks behind. The sound of engines thundered overhead as metallic figures descended from the storm. The Elythian sentinels, beings of pure silver light. Scanning the ruins, Arin crouched behind a pillar, heart racing. They passed over him, searching for traces of Lira's energy. He held his breath until the sound faded away. When silence finally returned, he looked at the spot where she had stood. Only a faint shimmer remained, her last words echoing in his mind. "Tomorrow, if I survive." Arin closed his eyes and whispered to the wind, "I'll be waiting." And in the distance, deep inside the glowing valley, a single pulse of blue light answered. For 3 nights there was no sign of her. Arin searched the glowing valleys, the broken observatory, the hills where the light once danced, but Lira was gone. The silence of Veliora felt heavier now, like the world itself mourned her absence. He replayed every moment in his mind. Her voice, her glow, the warmth that passed through his hand when they touched. He had known her for only a few days, yet she haunted him like a lifetime. Then on the 4th night, the storm came back, wilder than before. Arin stood outside the wreck of his ship, staring at the horizon. Lightning slashed the sky in violet and gold, and in the distance he saw it, a column of bright silver light rising into the clouds. Not natural. Not stormlight. It was Elythian. His heart froze. "Lira." He ran. The valley of the crystal ruins was no longer silent. Dozens of silver sentinels floated above the ground, their armor glowing with cold perfection. Between them, bound by chains of light, was Lira. She knelt on the old stone platform, her body dim and trembling. Her glow flickered weakly, like a candle struggling against the wind. Arin hid behind a broken wall, his heart pounding. He could hear the sentinels' voices, deep, mechanical, and layered, echoing across the ruins. "Lira of the lost line, you have broken the sacred code. You touched the shadow flesh. You shared your light with an outsider." Lira lifted her head. Her voice was weak but steady. "I shared understanding, not corruption." The sentinel's eyes flared. "There is no difference." Arin clenched his fists. Every word cut through him like a blade. He wanted to rush in to save her, but what could one man do against gods of light? The leader sentinel raised its hand. The chains around Lira tightened, her glow dimming further. "You will be returned to the core. Your light will be cleansed. The shadow will forget you." "Like hell he will," Arin whispered and broke cover. The sentinels turned in unison as he fired his blaster. The plasma bolt cut through the mist, hitting the ground before them in a burst of flame. "Let her go," he shouted. The storm roared, echoing his fury. The leader looked at him with something that might have been disgust, or pity. "Human, you should not exist here." "Yeah, I get that a lot," Arin growled, aiming again. The bolt struck the chain around Lira, making it flicker. She looked up in shock. "Arin, no!" "Stay down," he shouted, running forward. The sentinels surrounded him instantly. Bolts of energy blasted around him, throwing sparks through the air. He rolled behind a fallen pillar, his armor cracking, the blaster overheating. One of the sentinels raised its hand. charging a killing strike, but before it could fire, Lira screamed. Her body exploded with light. The chains shattered. The ground cracked under the force. The storm above twisted into a spiral, lightning bending toward her. Her eyes glowed white-hot as she stood, her energy pulsing uncontrollably. The sentinels hesitated. Even they feared what she was becoming. "Lira, stop!" Arin shouted, shielding his face from the light. She looked at him, her voice trembling. "They will not stop until you are gone." She lifted her hands, and the storm itself seemed to obey her. Bolts of light shot from the sky, striking the sentinels one by one. Their bodies disintegrated into shards of silver mist, but the power tore through her as well. Her glow flared violently, her form beginning to unravel. "Lira!" Arin ran to her, grabbing her before she collapsed. Her body felt weightless, her light flickering like dying embers. "I told you," she whispered weakly. "Emotion burns us." He held her close, his eyes wide with terror. "You saved me. You saved both of us." She shook her head, barely able to speak. "No, I doomed myself." He pressed his forehead against hers. "Then we'll be doomed together." A faint smile crossed her face, a glow of warmth spreading between them. "Your heart, it beats so loud, like thunder in silence. Stay with me, Lira." But the storm was collapsing now in a vortex of light and sound. The last remaining sentinels activated their cores, creating a blinding surge of energy. Arin grabbed Lira and pulled her toward his shuttle, which lay wrecked near the edge of the ruins. They stumbled inside, alarms flashing red as he hit the manual ignition. Come on. The engines coughed to life just as the energy wave hit. The shuttle lifted off, barely escaping the explosion that tore through the valley. Through the cockpit glass, Arin saw the ruins vanish in fire and light. And there, in the middle of it all, Lira's glow flickered faintly in his arms. "Hold on, Lira. We're getting out of here." She smiled weakly, eyes dimming. "I am not leaving. My light is bound to this world. It will fade beyond it." He shook his head violently. "I won't let you fade." Her voice was soft, fading like a whisper through static. "If I fade, promise me you'll return when the stars remember my name." The light in her chest pulsed once, then slowly dissolved into dust. Arin screamed her name as the shuttle spun out of control, crashing into the storm. Everything went black. When he awoke, the storm was gone. The valley was silent again. But the world no longer glowed. Veliora had gone dark. Arin crawled from the wreckage, clutching the shard of crystal she had given him days ago. It was the only thing still shining faintly in the ashes. He fell to his knees, holding it to his heart. And in the still air, he whispered, "Then I'll wait, until the stars remember you." The stars moved on. Worlds changed. Wars ended. But Arin Vale did not. It had been 20 years since the storm of Veliora swallowed his ship. 20 years since Lira's light faded in his arms. He survived the crash somehow, found by a passing cargo vessel months later. The doctors said he was lucky. He called it punishment. Now he lived on Station Haven 9, an old refueling dock at the edge of human space. The corridors were always filled with the smell of oil, smoke, and silence. Arin worked as a mechanic, repairing the ships of people who still had dreams. His own were gone, buried with the light of Veliora. Every night when the work was done, he would sit by the window of the outer bay and stare at the distant system, a dim star surrounded by fog. The computers listed it as restricted space. The Elythians had sealed their world, and no human dared approach. But the universe had a cruel way of keeping memories alive. One evening, as Arin replaced a plasma conduit, the radio crackled. The station AI filtered through reports from deep space probes. A distorted voice came through. Unidentified energy pulse detected. "Veliora system," repeating every 1,000 cycles. Pattern resembles, he froze. The pulse. The same rhythm he once heard when holding Lira's hand. The beat of living light. His tools fell from his hands. For the first time in years, he smiled. A small broken smile, but real. He left that same night. The journey took 6 weeks through silent void. Arin's small transport ship, old, rusted, and patched together from spare parts, creaked like a dying animal. But it didn't matter. Every star he passed felt like it was guiding him home. When he entered the Veliora system, the scanners went wild. Energy levels off the charts. The planet was no longer the storm-ridden wasteland he remembered. Instead, it shimmered with new life. Oceans of light, floating cities, towers made of crystal. He whispered in awe, "You rebuilt it." As he descended, he saw something impossible. Elythians, hundreds of them, walking openly beneath the sky, their glows calm and stable. No chains, no sentinels, no fear. The ship landed softly near the Valley of Ruins. He stepped out, his boots crunching against the glowing soil. The old observatory still stood, half broken but alive with vines that pulsed faint blue. And then, he heard her voice. "You kept your promise." Arin turned sharply. The air shimmered in front of him. Out of the light formed a shape, a woman made of mist and stars. "Lira," he whispered. She smiled softly. Her features were the same, gentle, kind, but no longer fragile. She glowed like a piece of the universe given form. "You came back," she said. "After so long." He took a step forward, his voice trembling. "I waited. Every night I looked at your star. I thought I'd never see you again." Her glow pulsed warmly. "You were not meant to. I became part of Veliora. My body died, but my light, my essence merged with the core. I have watched the centuries pass. I helped them rebuild." Arin's eyes filled with tears. "So you're alive?" "In a way." She reached out her hand, though it flickered like vapor. "The Elythians learned to embrace emotion, not fear it. The sentinels are gone. We are free now. You changed us," he shook his head. "No. You changed everything." They stood together in silence, surrounded by the hum of the reborn world. Veliora's surface pulsed gently, like a living heart beneath their feet. Lira looked at him with a strange expression, something between joy and sorrow. "Your kind still searches for purpose, and yet you found it here, in me." Arin laughed softly. "I never meant to start a revolution. I just wanted to understand you." "Understanding," she said, "is the beginning of love." Her form began to waver, her light dimming. The planet's energy called to her. "My time is brief. The core cannot hold me long outside the light." He stepped closer, desperate. "Don't leave again, please," she smiled sadly. "I am not leaving." "I am everywhere now. The rain, the wind, the storms. Every beam of light you see is a memory of us." Arin's throat tightened. "Then what am I supposed to do?" "Live," she said. "Carry our story into the stars. Let them know love is not weakness. It is creation itself." Her hand brushed his cheek, or maybe it was just the warmth of the wind. Then she leaned forward, her voice a whisper through his tears. "When you close your eyes, I will be there." Her body dissolved into millions of glittering fragments that rose into the air, spiraling into the sky. The clouds lit up in soft gold as the wind sang with distant echoes. Arin stood alone again, but this time, the silence wasn't empty. The whole planet pulsed like it was breathing with her. He fell to his knees and whispered, "I never stopped loving you." The wind answered in a soft shimmer of light. "Nor I, you." He stayed on Veliora for months after that, helping the Elythians rebuild their technology, learning from them, teaching what little humanity could offer. They treated him with reverence, calling him the keeper of the light. Every night he would stand at the same hill where they first met and look at the twin moons. One blue, one silver. Together they formed a symbol of eternity. And sometimes, when the storm clouds drifted apart, he swore he could see her face in the starlight, smiling back at him. The years that followed passed like gentle dreams. Arin Vale stayed on Veliora, though he no longer aged as he once did. The planet's light seemed to slow time around him. Or maybe it was Lyra's presence in the air, in the ground, in every ray that touched his face. He worked with the Elythians, guiding them as they built new cities of harmony and light. They no longer feared emotion. Their world glowed brighter than any in the galaxy, and yet every evening when the twin moons rose, Arin would stand alone on the crystal hill, listening to the whispering wind that carried her voice. It had been another 20 years since his return. His body was old now, his hands rough, his hair silver like the light he once chased, but his eyes still burned with that same promise, the one he made when Lira faded in his arms. "Until the stars remember your name," he murmured to the sky each night. And one night, they finally did. The ground beneath Veliora trembled softly. The Elythian towers flickered, and the rivers of light across the plains began to shift color. Blue to gold, gold to white. The planet's energy was moving toward something. Arin's communicator crackled with voices of alarm. The core is awakening. The heart of Veliora is pulsing beyond control. He didn't need an explanation. He knew it was her. He hurried toward the ancient observatory, now fully rebuilt, glowing with sacred brilliance. Elythians surrounded the core chamber, their lights flickering nervously as the ground vibrated. At the center of the vast hall, a sphere of living energy floated, blinding, pulsing, alive. Inside it faintly was the shape of a woman. Arin's breath caught. Lira. The Elythians turned to him. It calls for you, one said reverently. The core speaks your name. He stepped forward, his heart thundering. The closer he got, the warmer the air became until the light itself began to wrap around him like soft silk. Her voice echoed in his mind, faint, trembling, but filled with joy. You came, Arin. Again. He smiled through tears. Always. The core is dying, she said softly. Its energy has reached the limit. Soon Veliora will need a new balance, or it will fade with me. He shook his head. No, I won't lose you again. Tell me what to do. You already know. Her glow brightened, the sphere pulsing with her heartbeat. If you join with the core, our lights will merge. The world will live, but you will not return. He laughed weakly. Return where? There's nothing left for me out there. Everything I love is right here. Are you certain? He nodded. I promised you. The stars have remembered, Lira. Now it's my turn. The Elythians around the chamber watched silently as Arin stepped onto the platform. The old pilot straightened his back, took one deep breath, and looked up at the swirling core. He whispered, for love, for light. And he walked into it. The energy hit him like 1,000 suns. His body trembled, his mind flooded with memories. His childhood, the academy, the crash, the first time he saw her face through the fog. Every moment replayed in a storm of light. Then everything slowed. He felt no pain, no weight, no fear, only her. Lira appeared before him, glowing brighter than ever. No longer a ghost of energy, but whole, radiant, alive. Her eyes sparkled like galaxies. You kept your promise, she said, tears of light falling from her eyes. He smiled. Took me long enough. She reached out, touching his chest. You gave up everything. No, he whispered, pulling her close. I found everything. Their lights merged, human and Elythian, flesh and energy, swirling together until there was no boundary between them. The chamber exploded in brilliance. The Elythians outside shielded their eyes as the observatory blazed like a newborn sun. The core stabilized. The planet's pulse slowed, finding peace. The rivers of light flowed calmly again, brighter than before. When the radiance faded, Arin and Lira were gone. That night, the sky over Veliora changed. 2 stars appeared near the system's edge, twin lights orbiting each other in eternal motion. The Elythians called them the Lovers of Light. Pilots across the galaxy charted them as new navigation markers. Scientists called them binary anomalies. Poets called them miracles. But those who stood on Veliora's soil knew the truth. They knew the story of the human who defied his orders for love, and the alien who taught a world to feel again. And when the rain fell on quiet nights, it shimmered faintly, each drop glowing like a whisper of their names. Years later, Elythian children would ask, who are the lights that dance above the horizon? And their elders would smile and say, they were 2 souls who loved across the stars and the universe. Itself could not keep them apart. As the camera fades upward, the twin stars twinkling against the velvet dark, a soft echo of Lyra's voice lingers one last time. Some loves do not end when bodies fall. They end only when light forgets to shine. The stars pulse once, brighter and as if in answer, fade to black. End. Moral message. True love is not about possession, but connection, the kind that endures beyond time, form, and death. Even stars remember those who loved without fear.